All right, welcome. This is Triple H Farming with another tutorial guide. This one's going to be on cedars and basically everything that you can plant, what you can plant, what you need to use to plant things. So we're going to talk about cedars, planters, and then we're also going to talk about potato planters, sugar planters, or sugarcane planters, as well as forestry planters. So we'll go ahead and get going on all these items. We'll just kind of work our way up. Again, just another disclaimer, as I mentioned in my last video that I posted about cultivators and plowing, I'm only using what's in game, so just base game items for this. So I won't be going over mods, just to kind of simplify the video and to kind of go over things. So let's dive right in. All right, so the first thing we're going to go over is going to be cedars. So here I have a cedar just hooked up to the back of a tractor. This one specifically is the Amazon D830. So cedars are used to plant wheat, barley, oat, canola, soybeans, oilseed radish, or grass. So those are the items that are planted by different cedars. This one specifically has a 1,000 liter capacity of seeds, has a 3 meter working width, works at 9 miles per hour, and costs $13,000. So the ranges, if you go into the store, the ranges of cedars are going to be between 1,000 and 34,500 liters of seed that they'll hold. Their working widths are going to be between 3 and 25.6, so quite a huge jump between the two. Their working speeds will either be at 9 miles per hour or 11 miles per hour, and we'll kind of go over which ones are which here in a minute. And the cost varies greatly. This one here is $13,000, as I mentioned already. The most expensive cedar is going to be $475,000 inside the store. So we'll go over that a little bit in more detail. We'll also talk about a couple of cedars that also fertilize as they go, and we'll talk about direct drills and what that means as we go. So if we go into the store here, we go under, we'll go back here where we're at when we started. So under cedars here, this is the one I have, the Amazon D830. So working through all the way up to the Seed Hawk. So one thing I want to talk about, this is the first one that's in here, is seed drills or direct drills. So before you can use a seeder, you would have to plow or cultivate your field to prepare it to use the seeder on the field. However, you can use a direct drill instead, and a direct drill just goes over whatever's on the field. So it essentially does the plowing and seeding all in one. So this is the lowest level direct drill. And you can notice which one's a direct drill at the bottom here. So on a seeder, you're just going to say, it's just going to say with a seeder planter, you can sow fields. With the direct drill, it's going to add additionally, this machine offers the possibility to seed directly. So no previous cultivating or plowing necessary. So that's what you're looking at there. Plowing, this doesn't mean that it's going to count the field as plowed. And what I'm talking about there is what we talked about briefly in my last video, where if a field needs plowing, it could have a harvest deficit. So remember that it's not going to cover that. So actually these two are both seed drills. So those are options there. If you wanted to save time and just do one pass over a field, this is a pretty good way to go. So notice the working speed here is 11 miles per hour, and for this is 9 miles per hour. So all the ones that do not direct drill work at 9 miles per hour, and all of the direct drills work at 11 miles per hour. So not only do they save you a step, they're also a little bit faster. So be aware of that as you're going through. Another thing that I want to talk about as far as cedars go is some of them are cedars in a tank. So what I mean by that is like these two go together. So this is the cedar, but there's no capacity for seeds listed. You need this tank to work with this cedar for it to work. So essentially this goes in the back of your tractor and this goes in the front, or I guess I'm not even sure if you could do it vice versa or not, but traditionally this would go on the back and this would go on the front, and essentially this connects to that to provide seeds to it. Another example of that I'm trying to think of, there's actually not an example similar to that in here. That's the only one that's like that. There's some planters that are like that we'll go over later. Back here at the back, the two biggest ones here are two-parted. So essentially you have the cedar, and then you have a tank that's attached to it. This tank feeds the cedar. So these both go on the back of your tractor and connect up to each other. So this would go on the back of your tractor, and this would connect to that. And that goes for these two as well. And this is a 25.6 meter. So that's huge compared to the one I have selected, which is the D830. So that's basically all I have for seeders. We'll test them out later when we test everything out, so we'll go over that later. Moving on, we're going to go over here to our planter. So planters grow corn, sunflowers, sugar beets, and cotton, and they also grow soybeans, which seeders also grow. So all planters and all seeders will grow soybeans. So soybeans, no matter what you got, you can grow them. So that is the good thing about that. Continuing with planters, this one here that I have selected is the Amazon ED3000C. It has an 1,140 liter capacity. Works at 3 meters in working width at 9 miles per hour and costs $27,000. So another thing to note about planters, all planters are fertilizers and planters. So they all have the option to fertilize while you're planting as well. They'll do this automatically unless the fertilizer tank is empty, then they'll just plant seeds and they won't fertilize or put down a fertilizer state. So this one, though the capacity is 1,140 liters listed in the store, it's actually only 240 liters of seed and then 900 liters of solid fertilizer. That's the one frustrating thing about a lot of the planters is they just have the capacity listed for seed and fertilizer combined. You can't tell which was which in there. So that's one of the frustrating points about planters. So when we look in the store, you'll see the range. And again, this is not divided. This is together. The range of their capacities is between 1,140 liters. That's this one here, all the way up to 9,000 liters. And then their working width goes from this one at 3 meters all the way up to 18.2 meters, so nowhere near the 25.6 meter max width of the seeder. And then they all work at 9 miles per hour, so they all go at a speed of 9 miles per hour. And their price range is between $27,000 and $142,000, so significantly less than the expensive $475,000 seeder. So that is a plus there. So we'll go in the store now. So seeders are down here, planters are the next row over, just up like that. All right, so we'll go ahead and click in here, get planters in the store. So here's the one I have outside here is the Amazon ED3000C. So moving up, we have these guys here. Note some of these are actually kind of divided. So these two, the Lemkins and then the Vaderstads, are divided. So you'd have this guy in the back and this guy in the front. So it's kind of similar to what we talked about, that one seeder that has a divided tank that would go on the front of the tractor. So these are the same way. This one actually is unique where this guy holds 600 liters of seed and this guy holds fertilizer. So you could actually just use this and just do seeds. You don't have to buy this to get this to work. It doesn't work for this one. This one, they're combined in a way. So this one will hold some seed on its own, but there's no distinguishing from each one. So it's not like you can just plant with this alone. You have to have both, I believe is the case. I could be wrong. My understanding is you can only do that with the Lemkins. So again, those are 2 units. Continuing down, we have just more that are all single units. So the big guys are all the single units. We're going to talk about this guy at the towards the end. There's some special things about it that we will discuss. So that's everything on planters. So now that we talked about those, we're going to move up over here. So we're going to talk about potato planters. Potato planters are very specific. So there's only 2 in-game. So there's this guy, which is kind of the smaller version, and then there's the big one over here. So again, there's only 2 in-game. So starting with the small guy, this is the Grime GL420. It can hold 2,740 liters of seed, and it has a working width of 3 meters. It runs at 7 miles per hour and costs $21,000. Moving over here to this one, this is the Grime GL860 Compacta. This one has a capacity of 8,220 liters. It runs at 6 meters, 6 meter width, so twice that of this guy, and it doesn't look as wide. You look at the back of it, but that's because this guy's actually folded up, so it'll actually unfold. These guys will drop down on each side, and we'll see that when we use it in a little bit. And then this one costs significantly more, though, at $99,000 compared to the $21,000 of the GL420. So the benefit of potato seeders is if you wanted to save money. I believe it's a fair amount cheaper. You actually don't have to load them with like seed that you'd buy at the store. You can load them with potatoes. So after you get a potato harvest, you can save some of those potatoes and load these guys up with potatoes to use to plant. So that is a benefit to these guys. This guy only does seeding. This guy, however, does have the ability to fertilize as well. However, the unique thing about this one is it holds 800 liters of liquid fertilizer, not the solid fertilizer that we're used to seeing in different seeders. So that is kind of a little bit different than what you would see in almost anything else. It's the only planter that uses liquid fertilizer, not solid fertilizer. So very unique about that. If we jump into the store here, you go over to potato technology, which is going to be this guy right here. Click on there. We have the GL4. We have the GL420. We have the GL860. So this one again, it shows that you can use seeds or potatoes, and this one shows you can use potatoes or seeds as well, and it has that liquid fertilizer mark on there as well, showing that you're going to use that as well. And the crop that it's going to plant, only potatoes. These are only used for potatoes, so they're very unless you're going to just do potatoes or specialize in that, there's no need to buy these guys. If you do any potato planting contracts or anything like that, just borrow the equipment. It's much cheaper than trying to lease these guys. All right, so that's all I got on potatoes. So continuing on, we'll go to sugarcane. Sugarcane has a very specific requirement for planting. So these are all three of the planters that are in-game. Sugarcane planters only plant sugarcane. And all of them fertilize with solid fertilizer while they seed. So they all have a solid fertilizer capacity and a seed capacity. And again, those aren't displayed separately in the store. The store shows them as one number. However, since I have them all here and all filled up, I was able to divide out the numbers to let you guys know which, or the capacity for fertilizer and seed in each one of these. So the first guy we're going to go over here is going to be the Gessner. I believe this is it. Yeah, this guy is the Gessner single row billet planter. So it has 4,000 seed capacity, 990 fertilizer capacity. It works at 1 meter or 1 billet. Sugarcane's planted in billets, so this is it's listed as 1 meter, but it's basically just 1 billet of sugarcane that this is gonna go at a time. It works at 7 miles per hour, and it only costs $32,000, which for these specialized seeders, they're actually not too expensive. You'll see. Moving up from there, we have this guy over here. This is also a single billet planter, but this is the TT8022 driveless planter. It has a seed capacity significantly higher than that of the single row billet planter by Gessner. This one holds 11,000 seeds, and it can hold 1,100 fertilizer. It only works again at 1 meter or 1 billet. It works at the same speed as the Gessner at 7 miles per hour, and this one cost only a little bit more at 44,000, so 12,000 more. The final guy, which I think is worth investing in if you're going to do sugarcane, is this guy. This is the Gessner 2-row billet planter. So this one holds 8,000 seed, 1,440 fertilizer. It works at 2 meters or 2 billets, so essentially twice as wide as these guys. It works at the same speed as these ones as well, so much more efficient. However, this one does have a quite higher price. This is going to cost you $85,000 if you want to go with this guy. So if we go into the store here to look at these guys, they're going to be under sugarcane technology, and they're the first 3 items in here. So the single row billet planter, the TT8022 driveless, and then the 2-row billet planter are all right there. And again, like I said, it shows the combined capacity, not separate, so that is a little bit frustrating that's in there. And then also unique about these, similar to the potato planters, is you can load these up with sugarcane instead of seed if you want to, which might be cheaper for you. So I've never personally done a lot of sugarcane work in Farming Simulator, but I believe that that is a cheaper option for you. All right, and that is all I have on sugarcane planters. So next we're going to move up to what I call the special planter or seeder. So that's going to be this big guy right here. I had just use a huge tractor to move it around. It just seemed like it was too big for the other smaller tractors, so I went ahead and went with a big tractor to pull it. It doesn't maneuver very well and has a very, very wide turning radius. Right now it's actually in a trailer mode. It also comes in a 3-point link, so if you want to do it in a 3-point link, you can also hook it up that way. That is an option. So this is the Great Plains YP 2425A. It holds 5,800 seeds. And it's the only thing listed in the planters that does not fertilize as well. It does not fertilize while it's working. It has an 18.2 meter working width when it's unfolded. It works at a speed of 9 miles per hour, which is the same as the other planters. And it costs $142,000. The unique thing about this special planter, why I separated it out, is not because it doesn't fertilize, but because it essentially grows everything a planter and a seeder would grow. So this can grow corn, sunflowers, soybeans, sugar beets, cotton, wheat, barley, oat, canola, oilseed radish, and grass, all from one seeder or planter. So that's very, very unique of it, and it's the only thing in game that's like it, at least. Just stuff that you have in game without any mods. So if we go into the store, this one is going to be under planters. So if we go to the very end of planters, it's this guy right here. So again, it has all those crops compared to just the few here. So all those crops, and it doesn't do fertilizer like this guy would do here. So that is an option in there for you. Wouldn't be bad because it would give you basically quite a wide range that you could do with one piece of equipment, and it's fairly wide and doesn't require a huge amount of horsepower to run, though it seems like it needs a big tractor just how massive it is in general. So that's all I have for this guy. The final thing I have, which is kind of its own deal, but I feel like it's important to mention in the video about seeders and planters, is it's actually only one machine. I have it here twice just for the two different uses of it. This is the Damcon PL75. It holds one pallet of either saplings or poplars. It has a 1 meter working width. It works at a very slow speed of 4 miles per hour, but it only costs $26,000. So this one's loaded up with saplings here, and this one's loaded up with poplars. So these poplars you would grow, and then you use a special harvester to kind of essentially mulch them into wood chips, and these ones would grow into very tall trees that you could use as either lumber or wood chips, or however you wanted. Or if you just wanted trees around your farm, you could use this to plant them in a very neat row. So yep, those guys are very, I think, important to mention as well. Finding them in the store, you just go over here to Forestry equipment, and then they're the first thing on Forestry equipment right here. It's the Damcon PL75 right there. But anyhow, what we're going to do now is I'm going to take a moment to get all these guys set up and show you how they work out in the field and show you what we got. So I'll be back with you in just a minute. All right, and we're back. So we'll go ahead and take a look at what each of these guys did. So starting off, we have the seeder that's going to plant. I went ahead and just plant down wheat here. I noticed that the fertilized state is at 0%. Then we move over here to a planter, which is, as you can see, the soil is a little bit darker compared to that because it also fertilizes. I went ahead and put corn down, and you can see it's got a fertilizer, or it says it's fertilized at 30%. Moving on, we have potatoes growing here, no fertilizer state. Here we have potatoes with a fertilizer state and a much wider width. So you can notice that there. That's because of the liquid fertilizer that is built into that machine there. Sugar cane here. Again, fertilized, sugar cane again, fertilized, and sugar cane fertilized here. This is the 2 billet planter, that's why it's wider than those ones. Moving over, here's the big old planter here that we have. Again, there's not going to be any fertilizer state here. I went ahead and put corn down. Then these guys here, this is going to be the little poplars. So these guys will grow up into kind of twiggy looking trees, about actually the height of this guy here. And then you use a forage harvester with a specific head to break them up into wood chips. These guys will grow into tall trees, so there's only a couple. There's 20 actually in a pallet, so it'll do just one every few meters there. So that's everything. If you enjoyed, please drop a like and subscribe. If you have any comments, tips, hints, anything for me, go ahead and drop them down in the comments section below, and I'll go ahead and read through them. If you have any other videos that you'd like to see, please let me know as well. Again, thank you for watching.